When I was working with Anna, and I was still at the Graham studio, but working with Anna also, Don McHale introduced me to Anna, and Anna had just come back from Mexico, and I, of course, didn't know who she was, but Donnie knew her from before, and she wanted to form a company again. And she told Donnie, I need a boy. She wanted 4 boys. She was going to do rooms. We didn't know it. And I was at the Graham studio with Donnie, and he said, this woman, Annie, told me she was, he said, I think she's going to like you. She's going to audition at Carnegie Hall Studios. And when I went, there was about 6 of us. She didn't have an audition, I did not. She was in the room by herself, and we were in a little room like this, and we were all kind of warming up, not knowing what she wanted to do. And Donnie would come out and say, okay, now you go in, one at a time, like a dentist. And so when I went in, it was my turn to go in. I went in and she was sitting way at the other end of the studio. And she said, she went like that, stop, stand right there. And I did. And she looked at me for a while. And she said, go over and get that chair. And I did. She said, sit down. And I did. And she looked at me for a while. And then she said, like that, she said, come here. And that's when she slapped me on the thigh and said, you'll be fine. And she said, Donnie told me you're at the Graham studio, so if I say fall, can you just drop on the floor? No, go give me that Graham stuff, 1, 2, 3, drop. She said, I know what that's all about. And that was it. Well, then I worked with Anna, and then about 2 years later, she was asked to choreograph the play of Sean O'Casey's Red Roses for Me on Broadway. And they were bringing the actors from the Abbey Theater to do it. And I was way up at Saranac Lake with Downey, and she called me up there and said, can you get down here to New York, because I'm going to do this play on Broadway and I want you to do it. And the director wants to meet you. Well, I was very concerned because Martha was getting the first international tour to Europe, and of course she was preparing everybody. She told us, we're all going to go. Well, of course the studio got so packed because ex-Graham dancers who hadn't been there all showed up because they all wanted to go on tour. And they were all there, and Martha promised everybody the same thing. I'm watching you, pat you. Well, I was hoping she would take me on the tour, but I had never performed with her. I had learned Diversion of Angels, a few things, canticles or voice, carry things, but I wasn't important. And so I had called Stuart from up there, and I said, Stuart, I have a chance to do a Broadway play with Anna, but if Martha's going to take me on the tour, I want to do that, you see. And he said, you're not going on the tour. He said, I'm handling it. He said, there's only 19 contracts. He said, I can name it. He said, secretary, he said, there's only 19 he said, grab the play. He said, you're not going to go. So I did. So I came down to meet John. Of course, I had to leave the Graham studio. That was the end of it.